Yo, what is up guys, Loki here, back at it again with another YouTube video. Caesar, way better than we thought. We've had Seth, who has that charge blade inspiration, and then now we have Caesar, who has the sword and shield inspiration adopted from Monster Hunter. I'm super excited. You may or may not know, if you've kept up with the channel, that I have played a lot of Monster Hunter Rise. Rise was the game where I really fell in love with Monster Hunter, and I also played a ton of Sword and Shield, which is one reason why I am extremely excited for Caesar's arrival, especially because you can obviously tell a lot of Caesar's kit has been adopted from Sword and Shield inside of Monster Hunter. Knack Frog, I've been following this channel. I've been subbed to this channel for a very long time, since before Golden Gears came out, and everyone was going for the 1 billion damage screenshots by using the transaction run and getting every single blessing in the game. Crazy time in Honkai Star Rail. This guy is now part of the early access content creator server. In this video, as you can see, we haven't watched it. I watched the beginning of it and I was like, wait, I want to share this with you guys because this really piques my interest. If you were like me and maybe you pulled an Ellen banner, maybe you pulled on Juan banner, and then now you lost your 50-50 on Xingyi. I lost my 50-50 for Lycan, so it's not the worst loss ever, but Lycan more so fits on that ice team, right? I do have a guarantee now, 27 to our next 5-star. We're probably not gonna get Jane. I'm not gonna lie, we're probably not gonna get Jane just because the cards are just not gonna fall that way. But when the update comes out, our guarantee will go towards Caesar. If you are in a very similar position and you do need another dedicated stunner, Caesar can fit that role. You can keep your team alive. She can also provide you with a plethora of buffs. Let's get right into it.
Alrighty, it's that time again. So we've got Caesar coming in version 1.2, and although she's classified as a defense character, she scales off of impact and does a lot of days, while also providing attack and damage buffs, and she also provides shield and interrupt resistances for the team. So surely a defense character can't hang with other stun characters, right? A jack of all trades but a master of none, as they say. Well,
you know what's funny? I don't know if he did that on purpose, but that's what they call Sword and Shield in Monster Hunter. It's the all-around class that does everything well, but it doesn't excel in anything specific, right? So it's very interesting that he said that specifically.
thanks to the version 1.2 content creator experience server, we can put that to the test. As always, this is a test version, so things are subject to change. And
yeah, you see that counter when the monster came down? Look at how high that stagger percentage went up.
Put that to the test.
Right here. He parried it 36
as always
to 70. Not too shabby.
This is a test version, so things are subject to change, and if anything does change, then I'll put a pinned comment down below. In this video, we're not going to do a comparison across the board, but rather I'll be pitting Caesar up against our first premium stun unit, Xingyi. I think this is an interesting matchup that many people are curious about, as Xingyi
oh man,
and Caesar do typically fight over the same spot within a team. So if you want to see a comparison against the rest of the stun cast, then I do have a video on that on my channel, which I'll link down below. Like my other videos, let's talk methodology first. This is a TTS comparison, also known as time to stun, so all we care about is the time it takes to bring the enemy from 0 days to the stunned state. I record my fights and I use my editing software to find the exact starting frame in all encounters to set my starting marker. Depending on the type of fight, the starting frame could either be the first instance of damage appearing, or the first orange flash of a defensive assist, or the first blue flash of a perfect dodge counter. And then we find our finishing mark by looking for the exact frame that the stun meter appears. Once we have our starting and finishing markers, we can then line the clips up and get an accurate comparison between each clip. Variables, of course, will be how enemies behave between each encounter and how I play the characters. Though I do go through multiple runs each time, making sure that I play the characters the same way, and I do try to find fights in which the enemies behave in similar ways as well, just to keep it fair. And now here are our two contestants in the game.
So it looks like she has a decent amount of impact.
And
174 impact, right? Physical defensive character. 144 anomaly. Interesting. Okay. So nothing too crazy. Just okay, cool.
Now here are our two contestants in the game. We've got a level 60 Caesar and Qing Yi with level 12 skills across the board. The equipment that I use across both
4-piece stun and then 2-piece of the new set.
characters will be identical. I swap between Caesar and Qing Yi before I do my test. So they're both using a 4-piece stun set along with an impact disk drive in slot 6. And both characters will be using their signature engines at P1. Okay, so now for the first test. So we usually start off with just a solo character test against a static enemy, and let me say this straight off the bat, it's going to be very unfair for Caesar, who wants an active enemy that she can counter. That said though, Qing Yi also gets some additional days off of dodge counters, which she won't have access to either, so let's see if that makes any sort of difference between them. So the combo I use against the static Babuati is just an EX into EX follow-up, followed by a full basic combo to build up more EX meter before I do another EX. I just repeat this until I get the stun. The February is a pretty good monster to test on since it's weak against ice and ether, but it's got no resistances to other elements, which means it doesn't give any advantage or disadvantage to either of our characters that we're testing today. Over on the Qing Yi side, we do our standard combo, opening up with a charged EX skill to skip the opening basic string. This lets us go straight into our electric field attack. From there, we're going to fill up our bar before unleashing our enhanced charged attack. From there, we throw out another charged EX, which gets us close to stun, but not quite. So we'll do another second or two of the electric.
When the enemy isn't like moving, Qing Yi's is gonna be way better than like any other stunner in the game. She's actually just insane.
Field before triggering the stun with our charged attack. Alright, so here's the side-by-side comparison. And it's pretty clear that Qing Yi blows Caesar out of the water here, finishing in 11 seconds compared to Caesar's 21 seconds. This is almost double the TTS of Qing Yi. But like I said though, this is a very unfair and very unrealistic comparison, as Caesar does get a large impact buff from using her counters, which she doesn't have access to here. So let's turn on enemy movement and see if that changes anything. We're going to be doing the same fight, but this time we'll open up with a defensive assist for both characters. The February has some pretty great attacks for maximizing days build up, especially with its stop attack, which lets us get off multiple counters in a row. Qing Yi is also able to take advantage of this by doing multiple dodge attacks in a row as well, so it's a pretty fair comparison for both characters, so I'll let it play out and let's see how they go.
How much energy does that take when you parry something?
Which lets us get off multiple counters in a row. Qing Yi is also able to take advantage of this by doing multiple dodge attacks in a row as well, so it's a pretty fair comparison for both characters.
Oh, okay.
So I'll let it play out and let's see how they go. Okay, and now here's the side-by-side comparison. Now, isn't this a surprise? From being 10 seconds slower to straight up winning the race, albeit...
Yeah, if the enemy's attacking you, Caesar's gonna stun faster. That is interesting. See, I didn't expect this when this character was announced, right? So in HSR, we talk about how a support character has to do more than just like buff your team. Like now we're having support characters deal damage as well in HSR, and that's kind of where the game's headed, right? So I imagine ZZZ is gonna like be projected in that same way, where your defensive character has to do more than just like give you anti-interruption and just be that like shield on your team. If they can stun for you as well, that's actually really impressive, especially if she's stunning faster than the best stunner in the game. Obviously this is a very particular situation where it's going to benefit her because this thing's constantly attacking. I would imagine Qing Yi's better when you're on the offense, right? And you're not and you're not just dodging all the time or parrying.
Only by 1 second, but hey, a win is a win. So we can see here that against a hyper-aggressive enemy, shield counters do more for Caesar than dodge counters do for Qing Yi.
For sure, that makes sense.
Let's just jump into our next test. So this time it's against a Dullahan from the Expert Challenge. This is another pretty fair test since Dullahans don't have any weaknesses to either character's main element,
Ooh.
and it also has a much smaller days meter compared to the Februari as well, so we'll see if either characters have an edge in this much shorter fight.
Caesar wins again.
So how about that? Did anyone expect these results? So it seems like Caesar definitely has the much faster days application in these shorter fights. I think it's because of how front-loaded these EX counters are. If you're able to toss out 2 or 3 of them really quickly, it's just a massive amount of stun.
It makes sense, right? You are going to start in, I was going to say MOC, in Shiyu defense with a portion of your energy, so you will actually be able to execute this. This isn't unrealistic. Whereas if you're just like doing exploration or just going into like a combat HDD, then you're not going to start with that energy, which Qingyi has the edge at zero. At zero energy, Qingyi clearly has the edge, right? But when you have energy already built up, because hold on, let me see something. Because he started with energy, correct?
Next test. So this time,
Yeah, so he starts with max energy. So when you have that, yeah, if you don't have EX bar, Qingyi wins. If you have EX bar, Caesar wins. I think we can sum it up to that low key, but I'm gonna continue to watch.
okay, next up we have the Ahmed Hadi. So this is going to be pretty similar to the last fight. He does have a slightly larger days meter though, but it's probably not enough to make much of a difference. At this point, we've got a pretty good idea of where Caesar stands in comparison to Qingyi when it comes to TTS.
That parry, oh my god, bro. I love that parry. Oh, it is so clean. That uppercut that you saw at the beginning of this video, that actually works as a parry as well in Monster Hunter. She does the uppercut in her ult. Obviously ults have iframe, so it's not like it can be used as a parry, but oh my gosh, just that shield parry that she has though is so, it looks so satisfying. It looks like it feels like really good. Like this character looks like she feels really good to play. Oh my gosh, bro. I have not, oh man, I can't wait. I can't wait for this update, Loki. I'm so excited.
And so there we go. A similar story.
I'm assuming that you can just tap parry to interrupt any of your moves, because it looks like he's just basic attack stringing, and then also uninterruptible here while this meter's full. Oh my gosh, I think you get like damage resistance too. I'm not actually sure. I haven't seen any other videos on this character, but uninterruptible. And then if it seems like you can press parry at any time during your string, which the combos are endless, bro. She's gonna make for some very flashy gameplay. This is like my type of character 100%, which is why I gravitated towards Sword and Shield and Monster Hunter, although it's not as defensive in Monster Hunter. You can't really take hits like that, but you can parry.
As the last 2 encounters. We're once again between 1 to 2 seconds of difference between the 2 characters, and I think it's now safe to say that Caesar is pretty much on par with Qingyi when it comes to stun. I wouldn't go as far as to say that she's the better stun character, as 1 to 2 seconds difference is so small that something as minor as an enemy deciding not to throw out an attack would make up the difference. But let's throw our girl Qingyi a bone here. Let's see how she stacks up against an electric weak enemy compared to Caesar.
The fact that you can parry that is disgusting. That is so sick. It looks like she has iframes for a very long time too. Yeah, this enemy was being a freaking dickhead. He played that as best as he could. This enemy was being so annoying. Yeah, look at that. It's just running away.
So, there we go. This fight does benefit Qingyi a lot more than Caesar, not only due to the electric weakness, but also due to the rate of attacks from the boss. We can see that Caesar definitely needed to wait a little bit longer between attacks this time compared to before, which means that she wasn't able to rapidly throw out her EX skills. All in all, that disadvantage led to less than a 5-second difference in the favour of Qingyi. So let's wrap up our thoughts here. Personally, this came as a surprise to me. I knew that Caesar was going to be a very versatile jack-of-all-trades character, and although I knew that she would be a viable stun character, I always assumed that she wouldn't stack up to a pure stun character in order to balance out the rest of her kit. The thing is, Qingyi isn't the best stunner herself. I showed it in my stun showdown video that Qingyi was actually one of the slower stunners out of the stun cast in order to make up for the amount of damage buffs that she provides to her team, which makes sense. But at the end of the day, she's still a stun character. But here we are, a defense character with the same ability to stun as our first premier stun character, so that's definitely surprising. When it comes down to it though, if we take a step back and look at their overall kits, Qingyi still has her place. It's not like Caesar has simply taken over her role. Far from it. Qingyi still provides hands down the biggest damage buffs to your on-field DPS, with the caveat that this buff is only during a narrow stun window. How powerful that is in actuality depends on your ability to take advantage of that stun window. So,
yeah, you're saying she increases the days multiplier by a crap ton. And for Zhuyan teams, Zhuyan loves when the enemy's dazed. That's where she gets a ton of her damage. Zhuyan literally deletes enemies, and Qingyi allows her to absolutely just obliterate everything in the game. So that's what he means by that. Whereas Caesar's not increasing that stun multiplier. I don't know too much about the character. I know everyone's releasing their videos now, but I know she does give you like a massive attack buff. Yeah, I think Lycan might have to go in the back with Amber. Loki, Lycan might have to take a he might get benched. I don't know, man.
So for someone like Zhu Yuan, this is perfect, and I would still say that Qingyi is still her premier support. Caesar, on the other hand, is definitely on the same level as Qingyi in terms of time to stun, but her enemy damage buff and her 1000 attack damage buff isn't on the same level as Qingyi's stun damage multiplier when we look at it purely from a numbers perspective. However, that buff is also much easier to take advantage of. It's not locked behind a stun window, and it lasts for a really long time. And then we also...
You know what team I was thinking about? Because I pulled Soldier 11, right? That's how I lost my 50-50 on the Jane Doe banner, right? So I was thinking Soldier 11, obviously Lucy, and then Caesar. That would actually be a disgusting team. I wonder if that attack bonus stacks. Because Lucy gives you a crap ton of attack as well. Soldier 11 might actually be chunking because she doesn't have any Obel squad members to really like accelerate her in the like if you see her on the tier list, I think they have her in like tier 1 or something like that right now. I imagine if she has more Obel squad members, she'll actually like rise up in the tier list. But that was one team I was thinking about. Obviously, if we don't get Jane Doe, we're guaranteed Caesar within probably within the same day the update comes out, and then we will still try to pull Bernice. But I haven't read too much about Caesar's weapon or anything. I don't know if we're gonna go for that, but yeah, let me know what you guys think about this showdown. I was actually pleasantly surprised with Caesar's performance. Like, I figured she was going to be pretty decent, and she was going to, like, essentially, let's say you're going against Nineveh, Hollow 11. She's going to make that a lot more smooth. Shadow Jane Doe, if you've done that fight in the game, she would make fights like that a lot more smooth because you're not constantly getting pummeled by moves that are coming out in like a frame. But yeah, I was pleasantly surprised by her capabilities to keep up with Qingyi. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments section. Like, subscribe to the channel, it's free, but boost that algorithm, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.